Hello there everybody and welcome to 10 tips and tricks for getting started in Jagged Alliance 3. So I did my best to summarize a lot of little things that will help you to get a foot in the door with this wonderful little game. This video is completely dedicated to everything except for the actual combat system because I'll dedicate a separate video to that. Combat is too deep. I don't want to mix these two layers of the game. So here I have 10 things that I hope will help you to start your conquest and understand the mechanics and get yourself a decent merc squad together to have fun with. So, therefore, the first few things on the list are about building a merc squad. I'll keep it really simple here. We could make it very complex, but that's a topic for another day. So, to keep things simple, number one, when you're building your squad, pay close attention to bring at least one mechanical expert, one explosives expert, and one medical expert. And if you want to spend that money, a leadership expert, or at least somebody with a rank of 50 plus, pays off big time. This is because there's a lot of adventuring in this game, and it's really good to have somebody who's excellent in his field. Also, there's a couple of things like weapon modifications where mechanical skills are really good. All over the board, it's always good to have these skills on your mercs, and it's always bad if they have a low number on these like our friend Red here has. But in a nutshell, have one expert of every field here. Number two, but there's one field to have two experts, or at least 1.5 there, and that's medical. So here I brought one with 80 points, and my second character here has 50 points medical. This is because you never know when your doctor goes down. He might need rescue as well, and a secondary person who's good at bandaging up people can be mid-combat also very, very valuable. All in all, don't rely on one doctor alone. It never pays off. It's one hell of a way to make your life unnecessarily harder. So, number three, when you're setting up your first mercenary squad, try to not spend all your money at once. So it's really good to leave at least something like 10 grand or so, because you have running costs. These guys have daily costs. As you see here, they have a daily salary. And it takes some time until you reach a point in the game where your operations yield a daily income. Therefore, you really should not burn too much money at the beginning of the game by hiring Deadshot elite guys and unlocking legendaries shortly after and hiring these guys afterwards. You don't need these good soldiers at the beginning of the game. You're mostly fighting against scrubs, and unless you're playing super high difficulty levels, so recruits and veterans do the job all the way. And another thing is really cool, if you bring a recruit at the very beginning of the campaign, they will be much stronger at the end of the line, and you can rely on the legendary and elite people as fill-ups. Pretty good strategy, because really, you don't need to pay for the really good people. You can though, and they are fun personalities. I don't want to say you shouldn't. So, number four, let's talk about guns and modifications. So, if you right-click a gun, you can modify it. So every gun has different slots for modifications, and there's plenty of different modifications. You pay for all of them with parts, and the highest mechanical skill mounts them. That's why it's important to have one expert. So, in a nutshell, have as many modifications as you want to spend parts on, and if you notice that you like that AK-47 on your dude, just start modding it and don't get stingy with it, because all in all, these mods are so darn good. There's so much parts or mods in there that are purely beneficial. Some of them have drawbacks, or drawback and benefit, obviously. Some of them are really quite situational, like here the bipod only works when you're prone, but all in all, it's really worth it. It's one way to improve your gear, and there's lots of things where you need rarer parts, like chips and steel pipes and so. Well, how to put it, I would always spend my stuff on something I find helpful. But if you find it rather situational, or you feel like, what should I do with it, save your pots. It's always important to only pick things where you feel like, yeah, I'm gonna use that. That's really, really important to note out here. Don't go for a bipod if you never go prone or use that knot. That's not worth it then. So, number 5, enough of that. Let's talk about economy and money management. So, in case you didn't know yet, if you hover here about your money, you see how much money you spend per day. Try to live as close to your daily income as possible. That means if you have your first diamond mine here, 3.7 grand per day, try to spend at least as much money as you earn. Even try to spend a little bit more than that if you dare so, because all of these maps here can be plundered for money. It's not that horrible to be a little bit over your budget, especially when you're currently expanding. That's you know, you want to be powerful at that part. So when you notice that your money accumulates, just hire another merc, or just look at other things where you want to spend yourself some money. It's just very important that you just not let that stuff accumulate for nothing. It's always nice to spend your money on making the game easier, isn't it? So let's talk about number 6. I want to talk about enemy outposts and that shield mechanic here. So on the home island on Ernie, you already get a little bit of a tutorial there, but generally said, you need to go for the story behind these shields, and then you need to punch them out, and if you did so, the conquest of these outposts is a lot easier. And I highly recommend you to just explore around and attack when there's if there's only one shield still left. You might try it if you're lazy or you don't want to go and search anymore. But don't try to attack these places this way, unless you want a big bad firefight. I mean, that's a sure way to make to make it exciting, isn't it? But here you need sometimes to explore the grids outside, which brings me directly to number 7. Every one of these grids can be entered by a tactical view, and every one of them is full with loot. And take that loot. Loot the entire place. Sure. Run around and try to get everything. Meds, pots, loot, whatever. High recommendation from my part, if you ever find guns that you don't want to use, you know, here I save that because it's always nice to have a machine gun, but you can always scrap guns for parts. So if there's ever something where you're like, well, I don't need that gun and I don't want to have it lying around and I don't want to mod it because it sucks, just scrap it for parts. You need those things to upgrade your gear, and also you often discover nice story snippets while doing so. And most importantly, your economy is going well. So let's get back to number 8. When you're doing your conquest, I highly recommend it to base around conquering diamond mines first. So basically the course of action should be get yourself that diamond mine, then secure the perimeter, destroy the outpost in the proximity, get that settlement under control, and then head over for the next diamond mine to increase your income. While you're at it, when you have controlled those settlements, you might want to try in some militias as well to defend that place in your absence. Always a nice thing. Also something to put your excess guns into, so don't scrap them all for parts if you feel like it. All in all, diamond mines should be always the first point to stroll towards to bring it down. So there's they are spread all over the world. Here there's even a more valuable one, and you can take them as orientation points for your conquest, basically. Also, there's always a diamond shipment all over the map. Catch it if you can. It really, really pays off to do so. Now then, number 9. I want to talk about the operations that you can do here, especially scouting the area. So scouting the area is totally worth it, because not only do you get information about the environment here, you also get information about the tactical area. And if you press O in the tactical view, you get you get to, whoopsie, that was not. You get to go into a bird's eye view here. It's also quite nice to get an overview about the map. But here we don't have any intel, and intel allows you to have informations about the environment, going so far as even knowing where the enemies will be and all those things.
I'm gonna take my 15
So,
minute break now.
as you see here, we found a lot of intel, and it pays off to do so. It makes things so much easier. And if you have paid close attention to your bank account, you will be able to pull these things off because you're not leaking money too badly. So, at number 10, as the last one, save a lot. Just save a lot. Whenever you go somewhere new, save. F5 is quick save, and it really pays off to make a lot of use for that, because, you know, it's really easy to press F5 every now and then, and if things go south, press F9 for quick load, and, you know, it's really good. And while we're at it, also do from time to time saves that are just looking like this, where you just save because for a good measure, maybe you went down a road that you didn't want to. Sometimes the tactical view here nails you with enemy patrols conquering your grids which you haven't foreseen, and sometimes it's really good to be able to roll back the campaign 5 or 10 days because you made a mistake and you didn't even notice. This game is pretty harsh in that regard, so it doesn't cost you much, so really, save a lot. Unless you're playing Iron Man mode, then I cannot help you, and I admire masochists like you. Alright, so that being said, that's all I have for a beginner's guide here. I hope that's helpful for you, and the combat tips and tricks thing will follow shortly after. I have a link for a playlist of Jagged Alliance 3 info videos. Currently, while I'm recording this, there's only this one video, but more will follow shortly after, and if you like that one, leave me a like, leave me a subscribe, and check out the other stuff I do. I really love this game, and I think it is worth your time. Thanks for watching, see you next time.